This is Hellblade's newest sacrifice on Xbox One X, which is actually one of the most beautiful games I've ever played on this platform. It is just simply stunning. It follows this woman that's clearly having a complete mental breakdown after the loss of her lover, and yeah, it's kinda crazy. So she fights these monsters and so forth, thoughts in her mind, and you constantly need to solve puzzles using certain glyphs and so forth that appear within the level. It's not entirely difficult, but it could take some time for you to figure out what exactly you're supposed to be doing. So what makes this version of the game so interesting is the setting. So we're seeing an Enriched style here, where it's playing at 4K. So this is the resolution option. I like it the most. It's called high resolution mode, so you do get that 4K experience. And yeah, I think it looks fantastic. I mean, we're going to quickly take a look at the visuals just so you get an idea of it. This is about chapter 4 or 5. They're washed ashore here. So basically, yeah, it is chapter 4. She's come to this place, and she's fought through some people, done some trials, and now she is washed up on this beach. So yes, the 4K mode is what we're working at here, and it is a 30 FPS, just to see what it can do in 4K. And I think visually, the textures are stunning. There's some portions where it's like the textures are oddly weird looking, but for the most part, it is just breathtaking. So we go here. There's also a photo mode that you can turn on too. That's your sort of thing to make it easier for photos. So we're going to switch to enriched visuals. So enriched visuals offer an increased visual richness throughout the experience, such as additional fog, foliage density, shadow quality, and higher resolution textures. It's an interesting way to play the game. And of course, all these settings are about really giving you the opportunity to sort of pick how you want to visually experience a game. So we're getting kind of close on our character, but that's really a lot of what it is. It's a third-person style, similar to like the Tomb Raider games or any of the PlayStation games that come out this generation. Basically all similar. So we're going to go to the final one. Well, actually, we should probably switch back to the high resolution, just so you can see the difference quickly. And now we're going to switch over to high FPS. What? So you instantly get a sense of how smoother the experience is. So with this, you get a silky smooth 60 FPS. And this is where you want the action intense over the visuals. But really, this is such a visually driven game. I know people love 60 FPS, but I mean, you're really not taking the full potential of what this game can deliver visually by doing so. I personally think it's a huge downgrade in this one because not a lot of it is so like action driven. You're not having a lot of action in this. So I really do feel that it's not the best mode for this one, but that's a complete personal thing. I know people love FPS, but this is a lot more of a look and tell narrative as opposed to something where you're just straight up fighting and so forth, where you need that 60 FPS. So you do get a gorgeous HDR put over top of it. Seriously, the visuals are just outstanding. I was like, with the lighting and so forth, because that's what HDR does, is the lighting style. It's just blown away by it. Crap, did I miss a stone thing I was supposed to get? I think I missed one thing. One sec. Yeah, she's kind of hurting after that last battle. I don't think that's the spot. Sorry, I'm trying not to miss these runes here. And one thing I really do like about this game is that while it is linear, you're also able to sort of look around too. It's not an exactly locked experience, if that makes sense. You're not stuck having to go this like straight. Like it's linear, but you get what I'm saying. There are some areas where you kind of gotta go off the road a little bit and take a look around and work towards some collectibles, which are like rune symbols that help kind of flesh out the story a bit and give you some more details about the lore of the land. I think it's just a beautiful game. The amount of detail is simply stunning, from the plants to the the fabrics and the wood textures and rock textures, and the way your character interacts with them and kind of falls down. Not to mention the performance by this actress is just spectacular. Really am just blown away by the effort with this title. All of it looks so beautiful and gorgeous. And just constantly saying, just blown away. And I think the narrative is pretty good too. Definitely very interesting about the health of one's mind and so forth, as she's constantly hearing things all around her and so forth, and seeing things. And it blends seamlessly between levels and cutscenes and interactions. It all looks like one smooth, gorgeous experience. And yeah, the voices in your head, I was like calling it ASMR the game. So it's something that's really enhanced by wearing headphones. Seriously. I personally don't, but I was just listening to it on the TV and I was like, wow, this is something that would be so immersive with headphones on, just the way it's, you know, sort of presented and so forth. You'd just be losing it. Another cool aspect is the backtracking element of it. So it's kind of weird in games. I don't really like backtracking unless they do something really different with it. Ooh.
Senua.
And I like how you get a sense of that you've cleaned the land up kind of after every area, so you just re-walk through it and it looks entirely different.
A strange little fish swimming against the tides of the big ocean.
So you do a lot of focusing, which is what I'm kind of doing here. You kind of focus in on objects to unlock them. That's how you solve these sort of mysteries where you find a shape, and then you go within the world to find that shape, and you kind of have to do like little mini puzzles. The combat is alright. I do find that it's kind of sluggish, and it comes across as quite repetitive. All these brawling type games are sort of like that. I'd say it's very much like Rise, the earlier kind of game, just because of the way the style is and so forth. And we're going to continue pushing along here. This is, of course, one particular regional area. The other spots are we're going to, like, there was like a forest and some bridge and more. You get a varied selection of environments, and it feels like part of a larger world and area. The opening segment to this game was particularly crazy. It was just so quiet, and she's just kind of rowing in.
The lone figure of a boy.
Thought it was very interesting. So this is a good point to kind of switch it up, because we are getting a look at sort of the visuals here. You know, the enriched visuals. Obviously, if you're on a HD TV, you get the super sampling, which is still a good benefit. And that's kind of the effect you're going to be seeing visually with the way the video is shot.
The gloom lifted. And for the first time in years,
yeah, I gotta say, there's something about 60 FPS that's nice. Just the smoothness of it.
A ray of hope.
And the fluidity. But I mean, the 4K in this one, it's just, it's nice. It's really good. So we're going to continue up. We're going to find a lore stone up here. Kind of go from there. Hopefully come across some combative sequences so you can see how that is. And obviously you're hearing her sort of whisper. That's her lover's head on the back there, which is kind of interesting.
The Northmen tell of a great hero.
Nice.
His name is Sigmund. His father's hall was built around a great tree, and one day Odin comes.
I mean, look at it. The way that the lighting comes off of rocks, and the water, and the ripple effects, and it's quite an experience, to be honest. And I don't think there's many games that are so perfect as this one is. And I'm not saying it's a perfect title. I mean, there are some problems, like I was saying, with the combat and so forth, but I think it's a very interesting sort of release. And it's definitely something that I would suggest checking out. I've had a great time with it. I was just really blown away playing through it. And, yeah, just kind of reaching all the points and so forth. I thought the story was worthwhile. and quite different.
Death for Sigmund and
So we're
his
collecting all
brother
these
seems certain.
kind of lore stones so I can get that
But the
achievement,
king's
obviously.
wife is Sigmund's sister, and she begs for mercy and implores the king to chain them up instead. He agrees.
Crazy.
Not for mercy though.
Some of the
because
boss
he
fights are
plans
kind of
an
really
even more
neat.
cruel and
So
lingering
gameplay is
death.
mostly moving around,
Chained to a
solving
tree
the
in forest
puzzles,
that night, a
doing little
she-wolf
arenas of
comes and
combat.
devours
But
one
when
of
you get into the
Sigmund's brothers.
boss fights,
She
there's just
returns,
something like
ravenous,
really
night after night,
crazy to them.
until
So they
only
go
Sigmund
all
is left.
mystical and they feel a little bit more cinematic. The first one was like actually quite difficult, which was odd. There's settings for that one, combat difficulty. But yeah, after I got the flow of the combat really down, though, I didn't have too much of a problem. It's just very interesting to have that kind of like amp up, and then the next guy slaughtered in like 20 seconds
As the
flat.
she-wolf licks the
So it
sweat
seems to have like a
from
weird
Sigmund's
spike
face.
in that regard.
He bites
Maybe it's because
the
you're just
wood
used to the game being
The
sort of
she-wolf
like
pulls away,
easygoing, and
but
then all of a
Sigmund
sudden it's
holds
like
on. The
crazy.
chains break, and he is free. After his escape,
Continue going
Sigmund
along
lives
here.
like us, hidden in the forest. His enemy,
Down this
King
weird
Sigmund,
path.
believing him dead,
Yeah, I really like some of the segments where it's sort of you're looking one way and then you look a different way and it's like all changed. I thought that was kind of crazy cool.
even the great
I think there's supposed to be a lore stone up here. Just trying to collect all of these. I want to get locked into something. Is it over here? Again, just a gorgeous game. Really feeling the visuals in this one. Oh, that's the crash ship on the other side of it. I'm just on the other side. That's not good. Where the hell is this thing? It's supposed to be like a log here. Yeah, forgive my collectibleness looking. Usually don't at all care for collectibles, but I thought I might as well in this one. Just to make it, just to clean it all up, because the achievements aren't too bad for it.
There.
But yeah, that's Hellblade's newest
She mimicked him.
sort of crazy story and journey. I think she's a really good character, very interesting, and has some unique potential. So the game offers a lot of sort of options visually. I think it looks beautiful in the 4K. It looks good in any version that you play it in, really whatever setting you think is best for your style of gameplay that you want to experience, but you have that choice. The photo mode's nice, and yeah, just whatever kind of way you want to play it. And there's some trippy scenes to it, and it's just a very, very weird sort of game. And I don't, like, there's similar ones, at least the style and so forth, but it really does sort of stand on its own, being something that's different. I can't remember, you're like going through the boats here. It's a fairly lengthy story too. I don't think that you're gonna blow through it too quickly, because the puzzles, it's more like time-based. They really do sort of use the cinematic style well to maximize how long you're spending working through this and enjoying your experience in Hellblade. But like, look at the sense of scale, and just the lighting is beautiful, and the way that the waves come in, the water, the rocks. I think it's just a really good, I think particularly this spot was a really good segment to sort of show off what it is. Nothing too spoilerish, while still actually presenting the gameplay as it is. Would have liked to have this combative segment come up. I don't think there's not one for a while. So it's very much story-based, very story-driven, narrative, and so forth. With the collectibles thrown in, obviously, is what I've been working towards collecting, and little battle segments. So you're not gonna have too much trouble, and if you're not somebody that likes the combat, you can change that, tweak it to something that fits your playstyle more, so it's easygoing. Because I mean, you want to just sometimes enjoy a good narrative experience without getting dragged down by combat, and you sort of have that offering here.
And in disguise, she lies
Nice.
to her brother.
I think that's what I was missing.
She gives
Yeah,
birth
it
to a
is.
son named Senua.
So yeah, that's Hellblade, Senua
After
Sacrifice.
time, she
Definitely
sends him
suggest
to the
checking out
forest
this. This game is absolutely
He tests
remarkable.
and finds it
Not only for the visuals that I've been really going over and over again. So you look at the reflections of the water, you can see the post up there ahead. I do think the story is worthwhile and quite crazy.
What is she following?
And a good time to kind of switch through.
You can't even fight. It's just deception.
How does he so effortlessly...
Let's kind of see how it changes foliage-wise.
If only she could do the same. See the world through eyes anew.
That's very neat. I love games that can like auto-change like that, just so you can instantly see
And dance with it.
how it, like the
Just
differences.
like he does.
Wow. Beautiful lighting, beautiful design. We're gonna keep going because I'm liking where this is going. But we're doing so in high resolution. Doesn't mean what's the point of having 1x if you can't max it out with some 4K. So you're getting another sense of, it's not just gloomy. I mean, it can be an incredibly gritty and dark and sort of game. It's not too gory, I don't think. Just because of the way the mystical elements are handled. But it can also be like wondrous. As she sort of, I don't know, loses her mind to some degree. But she's still a very interesting character. And like the look of the character and like just the, you know, the motion capture in this is just spectacular. It really does amp up development in that regard. And we're seeing sort of one of the scripted segments here.
Who taught you to fight like that?
No one.
No one.
Well, I watched you.
Pretty visually intense, but you can clearly see that this is just, you know, part of the gameplay and the way it seamlessly moves between the two. I love that they're able to achieve this with titles in games now. Titles. You get what I'm saying. It's just the way that it all blends together so naturally is amazing. And just visually, it's simply stunning.
And bring your sword.
You can't put it into words. That moment.
And then it all
When you
falls
look
apart.
into the eyes of the one who's supposed to reassure you. Make you feel safe. It only takes an instant. Fear swallows you before you have a chance to make sense of it.
That's so dark.
Darkness becomes a part of who
Look
you
at the
are.
details, the mud. I'm really blown away by the eyeballs, though. There's something about them that's
But
like
her world changed the day the North
really
Wind took
intense.
over her. Senua
And she
knows
just
that
fits so
there's never
naturally
back
within
to
the
how
world.
things were. That there's nothing to go back to at all. Stay still, stay quiet, hide.
Cool. Here's the picture mode. Just wanted to show that you kind of hold down on the D-pad. And you can move and you can like zoom and roll it and make some intense angles. Turn off the enemies. Change the focus, the exposure, focal distance. So lots of really cool options to sort of change it however you want. So you invert like burn somebody's eyes out. Film stock, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You can kind of like crop it to eclipses and so forth. Then there's effects. You can do edge detection, colorize. Lots of little neat options to sort of really change the way that your photo looks. Crazy.
Their
Yeah.
gods can see
And you do that at just like any point,
use this power to
which I think is
destroy
a nice little feature.
I can still feel him.
whatever's left of him. They will
Tons of
never
little
let
particle
him go.
effects. This game is fantastic.
You're the one rotting here.
Leave me alone.
You will die here.
No.
And all your suffering will have been for nothing.
So you